What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Real Reds Talk. This is Power Ranking, and it's in relation to the game. I'm going to explain everything in momentarily, but it is pros and cons rebranded. It's fresh, it's exciting, it's new, and I cannot wait to get into it, especially after the game that we had last night. It was utter chaos, which I've still not managed to speak to Shreyas about yet, but we'll get onto that in a minute. I'm going to explain the concept of the show just so people understand it, if they're like, what's going on, what are we doing? Basically, the objective is, what we're going to do, we're going to rank teams, players, and performances based on current form stats and impacts in the most recent games, okay? The focus is we're going to try and provide a detailed and evidence-backed analysis that supports each bit of ranking that we give. And the way it's going to work is we're going to do the two teams that are in question in the game. So we're going to rank them as a unit together, Spurs and Man United in this case, and then we're going to do the top 5 players and the worst 5 players, basically. And obviously each week and each game, they're going to chop and change, and people are going to drop out of it, people are going to go into it. That's the basic concept. There are kind of other little nuances in it, like a scoring system and things like that, but you'll get it as we kind of go along. So first and foremost, Shreyas, we're going to kick things off with Man United as a collective, as a team. Now, I've personally, again, you can go against me on this if you want, I've gone with a 6 and orange. And the reason why I've done that is because I think the Manchester derby pushed us towards stars, and then Spurs dragged us right back down to reality. So I feel like we're somewhere in the middle at the moment.
Yeah, we are. And I think, once again, I kind of expected this to happen. I genuinely did. Because even if you looked at the team that actually started for us in that game against Spurs, it wasn't really our first team. And I knew that, once you actually, nitpick with even, like 2 to 3 players in this team, the quality drop is massive.
Mm-hmm.
And you could see it, in the start, pretty much in the first 60 minutes of the game. That, the way we played and imposed ourselves on Spurs wasn't even close to the way we, actually played against City. And if you have to compare it to the last 30 minutes of the game, the way we played against Spurs was very, very different if you have to compare it to the first hour. So I think in totality, I would agree with it as well. Because right now, if you drop even 2 to 3 players, our team becomes a shadow of itself.
Yeah. I think a lot of people, from what I've seen, the kind of online engagement and reaction, people are happy that we're starting to see patterns, the way we press, the way we defend, the way we move the ball, etc. So it doesn't feel like, even though we was 3-0 down at a certain point, I was still seeing a lot of things online. I don't know if you felt the same, that it's not actually as bad as the scoreline suggests.
Yeah, I think the scoreline flattered Spurs a lot. And on top of that, I would also say that all all of the goals pretty much in yesterday's game were because of mistakes from goalkeepers.
Mm-hmm.
They genuinely were. Even if you look
Yeah.
at Spurs' goals, even if you look at our goals for the most part as well, all came
Yep.
through errors made by goalkeepers. And if you have to look at the way we actually played the game off the ball, we were better than Spurs when it came to off the ball movement. We were better than Spurs when it came to, playing the ball through the lines. And you could see how vulnerable Spurs' defense right now is. Like every single moment, I could see Bruno trying to interlink a pass through to Hoyland, or I could see Ugarte actually, trying to, win the ball back and then spreading out the play. They had no answer for it.
Mm.
So I think the score, I think if we were just a little luckier in a couple of aspects, if there was a little more fight when it came to winning duels against Spurs or on the half balls, I think it would have been a different scoreline.
Do you feel like you're starting to see Amarin's patterns, though? Because it does see, like, what we struggled with for a long, long time under Ten Hag was the fact that we could never really resonate with anything he was trying to do. It felt like the defence, midfield, and attack as a collective were all pretty bad. But with this, there is a bit of a belief in there in what he's doing, and you can see that from pundits as well when they're discussing the game.
Yeah, there is, and this is only the start. Like genuinely, this is genuinely still just the start. Players are still getting used to this system. We've still got issues in this team when when it comes to putting personnel out in certain positions.
Yeah.
And I think he's trying to make the most of what he has in this period. I would still say a lot of players have been able to change the trajectory of their careers around again at Manchester United. They've been playing really well, and their effectiveness and impact on the game can be felt.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
overall, right now, with the way things are flowing, I think it will be inconsistent when it comes to results, and when it comes to playing against the big teams as well. I think results will be inconsistent, but I think in due time, when Amorim gets a settled 11 and he gets, a couple of inclusions in this team, I think it will be a lot better. And I seriously think that we are not that far off when
Mm,
it comes to, actually, getting the right players into this system and into this team. I think we are genuinely very near, because if you look at a team as a whole, if you look at the defenders, I think one more center back and we're there. If you look at the fullbacks, you get a couple of fullbacks in, let go of a couple of fullbacks, you're there.
mm,
Midfield, I'm very okay with the
yeah.
kind of players that we've got at the moment. I think midfield can still be workable. You get one more, number 10 or a striker in that starting 11, you can actually challenge for top four.
Yeah, we'll talk about individuals very, very
Yeah.
shortly. And also, there is a section towards the end for you guys who are watching, the viewers, to get really interactive and stuck in and give some wild cards yourself if there's anything that we've missed at all. So do remember that and stick around towards the end. Spurs were the opposition. I have to put them at a 7. Simply because they did beat us, so it's only fair. They're through to semi-finals. I think their attacking play is exciting, but they are always
Yeah.
capable of bottling a lead, aren't they? My God.
If they played the same game against a team like Chelsea, they would have lost.
Well, they did,
They
didn't
genuinely would have lost.
they? Last
Yeah.
week, a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I just think in a couple of occasions we weren't really able to capitalize on how weak their backline actually is. I
Mm,
think in a couple of moments, if Anthony would have been a bit more precise, and
mm,
if he wouldn't have gotten dispossessed in a couple of situations, I think he could have played Hoyland in on a
yeah.
couple of occasions, because Hoyland was making runs in the first 15 minutes of the game. I could see
Yeah.
him actually, trying to make those runs, but barring Bruno, no one was really able to get any service to him, or at least even try to get any service to him. So I think that is genuinely an area where we struggled, and in that time space, they were able to capitalize on the mistakes that our defense actually did.
I know it's a hard question, but where do you think they'll finish in the league, Spurs?
7th.
7th. Is that right?
Yeah.
So they're definitely not getting top 4 in your mind.
Oh, they're not. The
Nah.
kind of consistency that Spurs need, they've genuinely not got it. They're a very up and down team. They've
Mm.
beaten United 4-3 now. I think they're coming up against Liverpool. Liverpool against this defense.
Which, do you know what's mad though? Like, I look at him and I'm like, they've scored 12 goals against City, Villa, and United. Their attack is incredible. I don't think he gets
Yeah.
enough credit. Kulusevski is a player. He's a serious, serious talent.
And he's
Maddison
playing
can shift
midfield.
it.
He's
Yeah,
playing midfield.
that's what I mean. And he's coming central sometimes. His dribbling's outrageous. And then Son obviously can have his moments. Solanke obviously scored a couple against us. I think there's a lot of potential in their attack, but it's just that their defense is awful. They are quite
Yes.
literally. Do you know, like sometimes a chef wears an apron. They're an apron because there's nothing at the back, but all at the front, everything at the front
Yeah.
is protective. At the back, my God. In
Yeah.
terms of the Carabao Cup, just the last question on Spurs. Obviously, they're I think, what do we say? There's Liverpool, Arsenal, Newcastle, right? Who have gone
Yeah.
through the semis. I can't remember who did they get. Newcastle, Spurs, I think.
I think
Oh
so.
no,
I think so.
no, I think it was. Yeah, no, I don't know. I'll find out in a moment. But
Yeah.
can they win the Carabao Cup?
No.
No, simply
No.
because of the reasons we were just stating.
Yeah, because better oppositions against this Spurs team would be able to, actually trouble them even more than United actually were able to. If you come, like for example, if I take Newcastle, if Newcastle come up against Spurs right now, they've got Isak, Gordon, and the likes of Murphy, or sometimes even Joelinton playing through centrally to actually cause some issues. And against this defense is going to take a lot to calm down someone like Alexander Isak with the way he plays. You look at Liverpool; they're firing on all cylinders right now. Mo Salah against this sort of backline,
Yeah.
Diaz, Gakpo, they've got a very potent attack. I think Arsenal are the only ones where I can look at it and say maybe there might be a little bit of a surprise, because the North London derby, you never know which direction it can tilt to. Arsenal have been very inconsistent this season as well. So I think, but besides that, I think Liverpool have got a much better shot at
Yeah.
taking this one.
They could win it. Well, I mean, they could win a few. They're in the semis, obviously, right now in the Carabao Cup. They're at top of the Champions League table, top of the Premier League table. It's looking pretty good for them if you're a Liverpool fan at the minute, unfortunately for us, which isn't great.
Yeah.
But what we're going to do is we're going to dive into individuals now, and we're going to talk about the worst 5 that we've picked. So I mean, Bayindir is just a straight up obvious one. Dark red, 2 out of 10. Just an absolute. It was mistakes galore, wasn't it? Looked shaky from the start. If he wanted to grab his opportunity, he completely failed, didn't he?
Yeah, and this was his opportunity to become a cup goalkeeper for us. Someone who can start the odd Europa League game, someone who can play in the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup for us. But he just wasn't really able to take this opportunity. And right now, with the way Onana has played, barring that Forest game, he's been very decent. So, in comparison to that, I think by the looks of it, and with the rumors that are circulating, he might be on his way out very soon because he wants to be at a club where he can be a
Yeah.
first choice goalkeeper. So yeah, I think right till now he's only made like 4 appearances for the club or 5 appearances for the club. He's been okayish, but this game he could have done a lot better on the goals. He could have
He's done
genuinely done
himself
a lot
no
better.
favours with that performance last night. I mean, the first
Yeah.
one, he should have parried wide and give it straight back to Sri Lanka. The second one, that his mistake, got bullied by an 18-year-old
Yeah.
kid who had just come on the pitch. People will talk about the decisions and VAR and stuff, and I think maybe it's a bit of a shout for that. I did say that in the post-match, but the more I watch it, the more I'm like, ugh. And now, I think you're going to see him on the bench for a long time. I think
Yeah,
he's
I
going to
think
struggle to get in the game.
this probably might be his last game for United.
Potentially. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the next question. I think you nailed it on the head there. So we can move on to the next player, and this is someone who I've been talking about for a bit.
Yeah.
Do you know who I'm going to go with?
Yeah, I know.
Who do you reckon it is?
Yeah, Lisandro.
Yes, Lisandro Martinez. We need to have an uncomfortable conversation about him. Probably the worst game that he's had in a Man United shirt. I mean, please tell me if there are any more. But
Don't tell us there might be.
I think when he came in first season, incredible. Love him. Loved everything about him. The Argentinian chance, his passion for the game, his ability on the ball, great. But at the moment, Shreyas, it looks like one, he's lost a yard of pace. He doesn't win his individual duels. He made a couple of mistakes yesterday. He made maybe that mistake at the back post against Forest where he didn't clear it as well.
Yeah.
He's not been great this season, has
The
he?
goal for Milinkovic, the first one that they scored.
Yeah, exactly.
I think, look, with Lisandro, I've always said his ability on the ball is still there. Like when he is on the ball, you can still see that, he's got that in his locker to actually ping those balls around. His distribution is very decent when it comes to, ball playing centre backs. But the other aspect of his game that used to, I would say, dominate his play style used to be his aggressiveness and his preciseness, with the kind of tackles that he used to make. He used to be like 90 or 92% on his ground duels every single game when he first came in. And that stat has gone down massively this season. And you could say, injuries might have done a number on him because first season in, he got a very bad injury against Sevilla. Second season was absolutely riddled with injuries from the get-go.
Yeah.
And he was pushed back twice in that season while he was recovering from injuries. So injuries might have genuinely done a number on him. But apart from that as well, we need a long-term solution because I'm sure that, with the system that Amorim is playing, we are going to see this back 3, back 5 for quite some time. So you need someone on the left-hand side who can fit like a glove, who can, and for the most part, can complement whoever is playing as a left wing back for us. Because with the way Amorim plays, the left wing back and right wing back absolutely bomb forward when we are able to win the ball back. And you could see it in yesterday's game as well. Ugarte used to win the ball back. Masarawi used to bomb on every single opportunity that he used to get. So you need someone who's competent enough to, occupy those half channels, be, able to win those duels one-on-one against the opposing striker or the right winger. But I think Lisandro needs some sort of confidence back.
I don't know. I agree. He needs confidence because this season he'll know it himself. He's been way below par. And I'm not completely writing him off just yet, but I think injuries could be something that's just knocked him a bit. When you have like a metatarsal injury, and you have a couple of setbacks from that, and then you have his knee injury, which was pretty bad, which Kufal when he landed on him. That can take, if you're 2, 3, 4, 5% off in the Premier League or whatever competition is you're playing in, it can knock your confidence. It can lose a yard of pace, and you don't look the same player. I'm gutted to be honest because I actually really like Lisandro. I love everything what he's about, but he's struggling at the moment. And another player who's struggling, who's also an Erik Ten Hag signing from Ajax, is Anthony. Now, at wing back, I think a couple of the cameos that he's actually been okay. I think he's linking up with Ahmad has been pretty interesting. But when he started, I have to admit, was doing a pre-match build-up yesterday. When he started and I found out he was in the front three, I was like, oh my God. And his stats, Shreyas, 0 shots, 0 out of 4 dribbles, 33 touches, 4 out of
4
13
times
ground
dispossessed
drills.
as well. And look, the thing is, he's not creative. He's not quick enough to be at an inside 10 for us, especially in this system.
Yeah.
And as a wing back, I still think that he can do a job because Anthony's effectiveness, it comes more because of his leg work, and he works very, very well. When you have to, and I've seen it in a lot of occasions as well against Arsenal and even Liverpool, the way he gets under Ten Hag, he used to get deployed just to double down on Salah or Saka, and he used to do a number on them because defensively, when you have to double down on a player, he's very good in that aspect. But moving forward, playing those balls into the final third, tracking the runs of your striker, he's not someone who can do that job.
No, I think anywhere just close to the goal, just probably keep him away at the minute because
there's just not enough in his locker for to unlock defenses, or I would say to be that sort of creative playmaker in that inside 10. I think if his future is at United, it is as a wing back, at least for the foreseeable.
It was just a reminder in it, like there's a reason why he's on the bench and there's a reason why he's not playing. Maybe as a second choice wing back for now, it's okay, but he's certainly not a starter. Now we've got a random guy in the chat saying our passing is light years better. I'd agree with that in comparison to our time under Eric Ten Hag. Charlie saying that we lost last night, or that loss last night goes beyond my understanding. Where we were much better than Spurs, a lack of concentration, and they scored twice. The Son goal, he has done that same thing many times. Our keeper should have been ready for it. Martinez needs someone other than Dalot on the left. You can see how much better Martinez is when Malacia plays there. I think people will mention partnerships, and I think it's a fair kind of thing to bring up because people bring it up with Rashford and Shaw, and there's a load of others that you can use a comparison for. But sometimes you have to take accountability on your own as well. Like
I don't think that the mistakes that he did yesterday didn't come down to partnership.
Exactly.
It was individual mistakes.
Yeah, but I did take your point about Dalot on there because that's another question mark. You almost got into it. The next one I've gone with dark orange number 4, Rasmus Højlund. And the reason why I've gone for it, Shreyas, is because I noticed the back 4 Spurs had yesterday. If you go back through it, Spence, who hasn't played in God knows how long, they're great at centre back. Dragisin, who's a second choice centre back, and they had Pedro Porro, who's great going forward, but as you saw with Bruno, who kept attacking those spaces, he was just like leaving everything behind him. And they had Fraser Forster in there, who, my God, do I need to even talk about him? Jesus Christ. So with that back line, you're like a striker. If you're half decent, if Isaac was against that back line last night, he would have terrorized it.
Isaac, Salah, take your pick.
Exactly. Didn't have a single shot on target yesterday, Rasmus Højlund.
Yeah, look, once again, didn't get any service. I think I do sympathize with him a bit because I think this team is still actually trying to get that fluidity in when it comes to, making those balls into the final third. But I think with Højlund, we are going to see this a lot, even this season and maybe in the upcoming season as well, because he's still a 21-year-old. He's going to be hot and dry. And the thing with Højlund is when he's hot, he's going to score you goals every single time. And we see it in the Europa League and in the Champions League that when he gets that momentum, he can score for you week in and week out. But when he scored,
I want to see it in the Premier League, though. That's the way I want to see it in the Premier League. You only see it in Europe, and you're like, okay, now we can kick on. Goes to the Premier League, and you're like, struggles again.
I think we genuinely need to see a Bruno, Ahmad, and Højlund partnership at least play 3 or 4 games on consistently in the Prem. Because once at least, I think at least then we can say we've got some fluidity in. And if this thing is going to work as Højlund as a starter, I'm still saying Højlund is a very good player in this system, but maybe he's not there yet when it comes to featuring as a starter. Someone off the bench, he can do a job, and maybe 2-3 years down the line, he can take the mantle and be that number 9 for us. But for that to happen and for us to actually make that ready assessment, we need to see him getting service, him playing in a stable front three at least 3 to 4 games in a row.
I was watching, well, obviously I was watching the game last night, but the early bits, I was focusing on him quite a lot to see how he would do against his back line. And he had an opportunity in like the first 20 minutes where he didn't pull the trigger, and I was watching, I was like, you need to, that's your moment, you know?
Yeah.
You get an early goal, that game, it opened up anyway, it was 4-3 to Spurs.
Yeah.
But you get an early goal there, it completely opens up, and then you can start hitting him a bit more. I don't know. I felt like he didn't play well. Very average. Needs a lot of
Yeah.
work on his first touch. I don't want to go in too hard on the kid because the reality of the situation is he's still 21, 22 years old.
Exactly.
He's a young player.
You don't know where he can, which direction his career might lead to at the moment.
Yeah. I know. I get that. I just think he needs some kind of seniority around him.
Exactly.
I
We
think that's
need
probably
that.
fair
We
to say.
need that one killer up
Yeah.
up there, like, at least, and not someone like 21 or 22 years old. Someone who's been there and knows how this game actually works. So
Yeah.
he can mentor players like Xerxes and Hoyland.
Yeah, well, they're saying the same thing. Like Arsenal need the same thing because they've got Kai Havertz up top, and obviously a completely different player to Rasmus. But they're just saying you just need a player who puts the ball in the back of the net. I know it's easier said than done, but just it doesn't have to be a certain like exciting young dynamic. It just go get
Exactly.
someone who fucking scores goals, please. That's all I'm asking for. But yeah, Rasmus is the fourth player. The fifth player I've gone with is Alejandro Garnacho. And I've given him a 5 power ranking rating. After obviously being dropped from the team, and I know we only played 20 minutes or so, but you'd expect him to bite back, come on, give a goal or an assist. Again, we're changing our structure team to fit him in. I just thought it was a bit disappointing, considering all the hype and everything that was going on, around him in a minute.
I think it has got to him a bit. It genuinely has. I expected
Definitely.
that, I expected him to, come on and actually, cause some issues. Maybe not get a goal, but at least, make his presence felt in the
Yeah.
game. But I genuinely wasn't able to sense his presence on the field yesterday. Once again, he's a very young player, can grow into the role. Maybe we still see some tweaks in the system to fit him in, because he has got some insane potential on him.
Yeah.
And but I think it will take him time, and it will take him time to get some confidence back as well, because it's, I think, for a youngster, and with the way his career has gone at United, this is the first time something like this has happened to him from the fan side as well. It will take him some time to recover from this, and probably the best way to do is to get out of it is to get a good get some consistent minutes and get some good performances in.
This might sound a bit harsh, and I don't mean it to, but I feel like he's not got enough football intelligence to adapt to that role.
Might be, yeah, because look, there are certain players who are very technical. Like you see it, you look into Mazraoui, Ahmad as well, Mazraoui as well. They can fit into any system and any role. Right wing 10, right wing back, right back. It doesn't really matter as much to him. And you can shift Ahmad on the left side of that 10, and he could still do a wonderful job for you.
Yeah.
You won't feel that quality drop off. Garnacho is way too direct. Like, he's that proper modern winger that you've got, that who knows how to cut inside and go for goal. You look at other players at other clubs, like you look at Rodrigo at Madrid, play him at left wing, striker, right wing, doesn't really matter to him as much. He's going to be quality for you in any position. Juventus have got Kenan Yildiz and Conceição, very technical wingers and inside tens, do a wonderful job for you.
Yeah.
I think that aspect of modern wingers, at least this season, as far as I see into the top clubs, it is dying down a bit. You need that sort of technical creativity and that center of gravity when you're on the ball. You genuinely need it, and especially at United, in the kind of positions that you've got in that attack, I think Garnacho really needs to readapt his playing style if he wants to fit into this system.
I hope he does, because I do like it. I do think it's super talented, but I just don't personally see it at the moment. Random saying that wasn't the best cameo from Ghana. Charlie saying I don't see much of a future in this system for Garnacho. Question, just for conversation's sake, who are the players that are leaving at the end of the season out of contract? Well, Maguire, I think is one of them. Lindelof, Ericsson, Ahmad, but I think obviously they're definitely gonna sign him up.
Casemiro,
Casemiro, no, still got a couple of years left on his deal. Trying to think out of contract. There's a few. There's a good few. So yeah, Maguire, Lindelof, Ericsson, Evans is another one. Heaton, yeah, two other shouts as well.
Extend his contract.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. Gary Neville said on commentary yesterday. I mean, Johnny Evans is going to be playing until he's 55. It's just madness, isn't it?
Yeah.
Absolute madness. Right, let's discuss the positives then. The top 5 players in the power ranking. First one, obvious, our shining light at the minute, Amad Diallo. I know he was only on the pitch for 35 minutes, but he is our best attacker by a country mile.
Yeah.
Got a goal and an assist, created a load of chances. I wanted to ask though, did you understand the rotation to protect him? Because there was a lot of people moaning, and I have this pet peeve with fans, right, who moan when we rotate players and like, yeah, he could have played. How many games do you want to play him? Like 15 games in a row? Like, you're gonna kill the players. You need to rotate.
And then people wonder why youngsters run out of energy by the time they turn 25.
Exactly. Or why they pick up big injuries like fucking Michael Owen did when he started to get into his prime years. Like, you can't overplay these players. Ahmad's been fantastic for us. It's a Carabao Cup game. Yes, it's a quarter-final. But I was happy with the rotation. I just didn't like that Anthony was the rotation. I felt like maybe someone else could have got in there. But yeah, he was
I think Mount would have, but he picked up an injury.
Yeah, exactly. But, you needs to be methodical with these players. The December fixture list in the Premier League is as grueling as I would probably say any out there. Because even, I think the German League has a winter break. La Liga is not that of an intense league in comparison to the Prem. You need to rotate these players. But, yeah, talk to me about Ahmad. How good can he be, do you think?
Yeah, I think first off, he's still getting used to, getting as much intensity and minutes in on a consistent basis after quite a while. People also forget the fact that, he's last season, he used to barely get any minutes or any sort of football.
Yeah.
When it came to the first team, and you rush him in too much, play him 15 games on the trot for the full 90, it is going to cause some serious issues to the player. So you need to protect him. But apart from the fact, he could probably end up this season as our player with the most goals and assists. And that too very comfortably, because it is just effortless for him. Like, you see him in games, as a right wing back, or even as now that he's playing as an inside 10, he's even more deadlier for opposition teams, because they just don't know which direction he might go. He brings that sort of unpredictability to his game as well, because he's not your goal scoring outlet. He's someone who knows how to, pull the ball out wide. He links very, very well with Mazraoui. I think both of them, they cause a lot of issues on their side.
Now, if you look at it yesterday,
best side for us.
Maz, Ahmad, which is weird because notoriously under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, if you remember, that right side was dead, completely dead. It was always the left side with Shaw, Pogba, Rashford, whoever it was. At the moment, the right side's cooking. You want that same replication, don't you, on the left-hand side?
Yeah, we do, but I think on the left, it will only come when I think it's only going to be Bruno who can do that for us, at least with the kind of players that we've got at the moment. The only one who can bring that sort of effectiveness when it comes to the stats, I think it's only going to be Bruno Fernandes. But I'm still hopeful with this front three, Bruno, Ahmad and Højlund. I think it can get us to a decent position by the time this year ends.
Charlie's just put a stat in there saying Ahmad's got 15 goal points this season. Only one better is Bruno with 16. I mean, I've put a stat there in the news ticker that Ahmad is currently averaging a goal or assist every 80 minutes under Ruben Amorim. To put that into context, Mohamed Salah averaged a goal or assist every 93 minutes under Jurgen Klopp. So quite a bright start for Ahmad, and as you know, couldn't be more happy for him. Now, the next one in the top 5 power ranking, El Extintor. And if anyone doesn't know what El Extintor, I can't say it.
Yeah.
El Extintor, should be Spanish, stands for, it's the extinguisher, and it is Manuel Ugarte. Considering he had Old Man Eriksson next to him, he was putting fires out yesterday, wasn't he? What a player, man.
He was great. For me, the best performer, because he started the game. For me, hands down, the best performer. And Spurs genuinely didn't have any counter for Manuel Ugarte yesterday. And every single opportunity, I lost count of how many ball recoveries he made yesterday. Like, genuinely, I couldn't keep count, because every single time Spurs was trying to hit us, he was there as a rock. And he's been this good alongside Eriksson. I think once you see that partnership with Ugarte or Casemiro, or even Ugarte and Menu actually blossom, get some consistency into that pivot, it's only going to get better. And he's a youngster. He's only 23. So what height he can get to, you still don't know. And he's a very exciting talent that we've got right now playing at this level.
Do you know what I'm most impressed with him about? Like, everything you touched on there was spot on. The volume, interceptions, the aggression, all of that is kind of what we expected to get with him when we signed him. But what impressed me the most is his decision making on the ball under pressure. When he
It's
gets
been,
forced
yeah,
into a certain area, there'll be a little cheeky back heel or a little nutmeg,
yeah.
or like he's got that about him. I didn't quite realised that when I was doing like analysis on him when we found out he was joining the club. It was kind of like, you know, he's going to be with this guy who does put fires out and you know, gives you absolutely everything on the pitch, and volume wise he's right up there with some of the best in Europe. But yeah, I thought on the ball just now, because at the start he looks a bit shaky, didn't it? You have to admit. First couple of weeks it was like, oh, I'm not too sure about that. But I think now, arguably, he's one of the most important players in the setup.
He is. And once again, just like Mazraoui and Ahmad, he's been performing for us week in, week out, every single opportunity that he gets. And
Yeah.
he's been I think people just don't really look into stuff a lot more. They just see him and go that he didn't really work out at PSG. The thing is, he wasn't played a lot at PSG.
Yeah.
At PSG, they've got a budding talent in Zaire Emery, who came into the ranks. They've got
Vitinha.
Fabian Ruiz and Vitinha. The only reason that that Ugarte didn't start in that system is because Luis Enrique doesn't really go with an out-and-out number 6 in his system. He wants that fluidity with 3 number 8s. And you can see it this year as well. Jao Neves, Vitinha, Fabian Ruiz, and Zaire Emery all are 8s. And they all start every single game for you. Ugarte is an out-and-out 6. And you could see it in yesterday's game as well. His defensive caliber, and one thing that I would genuinely say that he's worked on is the way he's able to spread out the ball and the way
Yeah.
he's able to move the ball forward. It's been a lot better. Maybe it's got to do with, Casemiro, but he's been doing much, much better.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Now, we do have some quotes coming in from the press conference, which I didn't realise was getting released right about now. Maybe I should have done. So we will dive into those shortly, but we've got a couple more players to go through. And you mentioned Mazraoui Shreyas. I mean, this guy is going to feature probably the most out of anyone in these power rankings, and being in, obviously, the good section. One thing I will say about him, I thought he looked really tired last night. I don't know why he played. That was the one where I was like, maybe he should have, because he was limping in the mix zone after the City game. So United need to be careful with him, don't they?
Yeah, but I think the only reason that it happened is because we don't have enough players to actually mark in his position. We genuinely don't have enough players. So we do need to be careful with him. But the happiest thing for me right now is that I see Bayern fans very frustrated with their club that they let go of Mazraoui. And they've been crying out loud that he's someone who would have worked really well for us. Why did you have to let him go? And that too, just for 15 million.
Yeah.
And right now they're in a situation where they don't have any fit fullbacks. So him coming in and the way he's been performing, he's arguably one of the best, fullbacks in the league with his consistency and with his effectiveness. You genuinely have to think very hard to pinpoint a bad game that Mazraoui has had.
Well, they lost a lit as well, didn't they? There was like a petition to sign him.
Yeah.
So, like, you kind of sat there thinking,
both of them have been doing well for us.
Yeah, exactly. So you're happy with it. In reality, you got them both for 55 million or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Happy days. Happy days. So yeah, Maz solid every week. And I'm sure he's surprised us both how good he's been in it. Like, he's just been a breath of fresh air. So big up Mazraoui. Definitely contender for player of the season so far, along with Ahmad. Next up, a kid who could turn into an absolute world beater. Yoro, power ranking number 6. Getting better and better. He's starting to grow into this team. Last night, Shreyas, 92% pass accuracy, 6 duels won, 3 tackles won, 3 clearances, 3 interceptions. This kid's got world-class potential.
And you could see now why Madrid wanted him. Yes. You could see why Madrid were chasing him so badly. I'm very happy to see him get some minutes in, to see him start. And I think eventually we might see him as a starting figure in that back 3 with De Ligt and Euro on a side. Or maybe you don't know, maybe we see Maguire as a centerpiece and De Ligt on the left-hand side and then Euro on the right-hand side. So there are still a lot of combinations that you can pull through in that back 3 if Lisandro isn't really able to keep up with these guys. But he's got the world at his feet. And
how long before he becomes a proper regular, do you think?
A couple months. I think a couple of months and he'll be there.
You don't want to rush it, innit? That's the thing. I'm not in a rush
Yeah.
to kind of get him in
I
there.
mean, you looked at a fixture list this in December. I don't want him to be playing those high intensity games at the
Yeah.
get go.
Yeah.
Ease him into the team, and I'm sure that he'll be able to do wonders for this club.
Yeah, I agree. Now, this one might be a little bit controversial that I've put in here, but I've gone with Joshua Zirkzee for his cameo simply because I had Rasmus in the red zone, didn't I? Because of the way he played, didn't have a shot on target. And Zirkzee's been, really good sometimes, really bad sometimes,
Yeah.
and that's why he's just edging into like kind of the dark green section. Still want a lot more, but he offered something different, like I just touched on. 4 goals and 2 assists in 9 starts, all competitions, isn't too bad. But yeah, I don't know. Is patience needed with him like we had with Ugarte, or what's your thoughts on Zirkzee?
Yeah,
So far?
look, you have to give him patience. Once again, people still need to understand he's transitioning from the Serie A, one of the
Yeah.
slowest leagues in Europe.
Yeah.
So it is going to take him time to match up to the Prem, and you can't really write a player off this soon. You've had a manager change, you've had a system change, so allow him time. I'm ready to give Xerxes the whole season and then actually make a good call on him, whether he's the right guy to stay at the club or not, because I think people are still reacting very quickly on it. Because I would still say even Hoyland, I would take the whole season and make a call on him because he's not getting any service either. Like genuinely, if you look into games, he's not really getting any clear cut like 3 to 4 chances every single week. So I think on both the strikers and Xerxes as well, just give them some time, because if on the ball, when he's able to interlink play, he can cause a lot of issues. And we've seen during Ten Hag's tenure at the club, he acted as a nucleus for our attack in a lot of games. Wasn't able to get a goal, was very unlucky, but in said games, he was very good. So allow him some time, and you never know. Maybe he pulls up with double digits by the end of the season.
Yeah. It could potentially happen. That's what I'm saying. Slowly going under the radar.
Yeah.
Now this is where you guys get involved. Whether it's if you want to challenge us on our rankings, if you've got any controversial shouts, if you've got kind of a bit of a wild card for the week, then absolutely get them in now. It doesn't matter if you're watching this live or if you're watching this, later on as kind of a recorded episode. Yeah. Get them in, and I'll read out some of your comments now. How in the world are we going to replace them all? He's on about the players that are leaving.
Yeah.
Ahmad got 15, so I read that out. We have a monster centre-back in the youth setup who will most likely make appearances next season. Sekou Kone should be ready, and Chido Obi could start getting appearances as well. We do need a spare keeper. Yeah, I think Carrington is definitely going to tap into Carrington, especially with you look at the way the money is at the minute. I think Kunkonki's another one, centre-back, who's being pushed quite a lot. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. Mount will be out for weeks, says Ruben Amarin. It's a shame. From what I understand, a different type of rehab will happen. Is he done? Shreyas, Mount?
Yeah. I mean,
Like
it is very disheartening. It is very disheartening because I really like the player. Genuinely, he's very likable, and it is more disheartening because you can see it on the face of the player as well, how hungry he is to actually get on the pitch and actually be effective for the club. But I think his body has just gave out, and like I mentioned before, Mount is one of the youngsters that have been run to the ground when they were 2021. He used to play week in, week out for England. He used to play every single game for Chelsea for 3 seasons a row. It is going to take, a toll on the youngster.
And the way he plays as well, given the way he plays, the intensity that
the amount of leg work he does, the amount of distance he covers in pressing.
That's why I like him. That's why Amarin likes him.
Yeah. But so look, I really don't have a bad thing to say about Mount.
No.
But I just hope that he can. I'm not going to say just change everything about, because I think it's going to be very hard now with the way things are looking. But I just hope that it can be a good send off. Whatever he decides by the end of the season, I just hope it can be a good send off.
It'll be devastated. It'll be absolutely devastated. I can't imagine what it's like for. Look, people will talk about, oh, he earns this much, oh, he's playing for United, and da. I can't imagine what it's like when you just got back, it's taking you 6 weeks to get back, and you've been in rehab every day, and you're like, right, I'm nearly there, and then you get there, you play 2 games, it's like, oh, you've got to do all that again. It's got to be mega frustrating for both players like Shaw, Mount, and all these guys. So, yeah. Mazraoui's effect on the team is unimaginable. The confidence he has in the ball is stupendous. It's contagious. You can see the other players get more comfortable around him. We need 10 more clones of Mazraoui. That'd be great. If you can find more players like him, I think United fans would take him in 2x2 like Noah's Ark. They really would. The channel's friend, Muppeteer, said that you're always like Wan-Bissaka in the tackle and a young Varane in everything else. I can
He
see
is a
that.
young
I
one.
can see that comparison for sure.
If you can actually make the similarities out if you
Yeah.
look at the way Varane played when he just got into the system.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying they're making a comparison when we could have signed Varane from Lens in France before he went to Madrid, and now we could have it like that kind of player. Hopefully, I mean, comparing it to Rafael Varane's a big fucking, he's talk about one of the best centre backs, in his generation. So it's big praise. Yep, he's getting more comfortable at the game. Xerxes also looks to be the class clown. Players like him is needed for what he does off the pitch. Altai wasn't that bad. Not fully his fault on both goals. Also pulled off some good saves. Yeah, look, I don't want to beat a man when he's down. I get that. There was some moments where he looked okay. But ultimately, when you make mistakes like that basically lose you the game, it completely covers that for me. It shades it. That Xerxes header miss was poor. I don't know. I felt like that was a difficult header. Do you know which one he's alluding to where Dalot crosses it? I don't know. I don't think it was poor. I thought it was quite to generate power to get it right in the corner.
It's a 50. I think on those shots, it's a 50-50 shout. Either it goes in or it goes out. Sometimes it just comes down to luck in those moments.
Yeah, well, there was a lot of people, and there's a couple now in the chat. Well, when we went live after the game, me and Sam, they was talking about Onana, and I was like, Onana didn't even start. Why are they going on about him? But I suppose, like, look, he's made a mistake in the game. Onana, arguably against Forest, was a lot worse. That Gibbs White one was
that's
terrible.
the reason I am not sold on both of them. Like, genuinely, I'm not sold on both of these guys. I really like goalkeepers. That's one of the reasons why I first actually started watching football.
Yeah.
So, and I've loved David De Gea for a long time during his tenure at United. So, and after what happened last season and with the way Onana started this season, I was ready to give him as much time because I've seen De Gea struggle in his first few seasons at United. But I think we are at a stage right now where the kind of mistakes that he did is alluding to Onana right now. You just can't expect that from a Prem goalkeeper, especially the one against Forest. And that's the reason I'm not sold on both of them right now. And I wouldn't be opposed to the fact that, Amorim wants a new goalkeeper by the time next year rolls in. And like, genuinely, I wouldn't really have any problem with it because I can understand where the manager is coming from as well, that he needs someone who he can rely on in net, that wouldn't make these sort of mistakes, at this level in the Prem.
I'm trying to think now, who do you think he would go for? Like in terms of maybe like a Diogo Costa potentially. Obviously, you've got a bit of a Portuguese link there. Knows him very well from the Portuguese league. Any other keepers you would have in mind if he was to bring someone in?
I would have taken Kovar, but we sold him. And he's doing a good job. Yeah, doing a good job. But yeah, apart from that,
It's not that spring to mind, is it? I suppose.
Yeah, the ones that are springing into my mind are really old. And I don't want to sign another goalkeeper or any other player from Dortmund now because it's not been a good road for us.
Yeah. Well, we've got plenty of time to sit on that and think about that for the next kind of until the end of the season, I suppose, when we hit the summer. But it's not. I don't think they'll see it as a priority necessarily. But I think it's definitely something to consider. Didn't we all say he's one of our best players? Who?
I think he's saying Onana.
Onana. Yeah, prior to the Forest game, everything he'd done up until that point,
even that Bodo game, I would say, prior to the Bodo game.
He was doing really, really well. But obviously, he made mistakes, and it's like, will he return back to that Onana from last season? It's a huge question, isn't it? But yeah, look, let's end this with the wild card pick. I want one from the viewers who are watching right now, like I said, whether it is live or later, get it in the comments for us that we haven't. I want your wild card pick, Shreyas, for this power ranking. Who would you maybe throw in there who should have been in the good section or the bad section, or maybe something about the teams?
Probably you could throw Bruno in there on the positive side, because I would say till the time Antony went off, he was the only shining light in that attack. Like someone who can actually make things happen. He was the only one who was actually able to do something in there. But yes, apart from that, I think we've mostly been accurate. As far as Spurs is concerned, I expected this game to have a lot of goals. I think when we spoke about it earlier, yesterday as well. We expected both teams to score. We expected this sort of a game, and you mentioned it as well, that the only way Spurs win it is if it goes to be a high scoring goal thriller, and they end up just nicking us at the end, and that's what pretty much happened.
Yeah. To think, that we Fraser Forster doing what he did to get back into the game, and then you're like, oh my god, this could actually be, they could bottle it
Yeah,
again from being 3-0 up and doing that. And you think, had Bayindir not made that mistake, we did score off a set piece. So you could have
yeah,
ended up going to extra time and winning
yeah.
it.
We
And
could
that
have.
would have been probably the biggest bottle you've seen from Spurs. That
Yeah,
was really, really bad. So yeah. Boxing, get Dan Gore in the squad. I think there's a couple youngsters that I'm excited to see Amarin work with. Toby Collier is another one. I want to see what he
yeah,
does with him. Nkunku, we've already discussed. These youngsters, very, very talented youngsters, but let's not rush them in. We just was talking about Euro, and we don't want to force that too much. So yeah, UTFR also in the chat. I believe he was at the game last night. So commiserations, UTFR, if he was. But at least it was an exciting game. That's what I'll say.
yeah.
At least you got a good watch. I know we
Not
went
a
out the
boring one.
Carabao. Yeah, it weren't like a 0-0 fucking ball fest, was it? Like what Arsenal do against Everton. But anyway, I'll sip my cup of tea. Right,
Yeah,
that is the end. We've hit the 45-minute mark. That is the end of Power Ranking. And let us know if you've enjoyed this new show. Obviously, it's going to get better. There's going to be more stuff that's kind of put into it. But this is very early, raw
yeah,
stages of Power Ranking. But I really, really enjoyed it. Shreyas was the one who was kind of brainstorming behind it. So hopefully you've enjoyed it as well, Shreyas. And yeah, look, we've got Bournemouth next. So let's see who stays in the top 5, who stays in the worst
yeah.
5, if anyone can make it out of it. And also, yeah, this will be a consistent show now moving forward. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed it and continue to tune in. First live game I've been to this season, and if not for the mistakes, we'd have beat them some serious hearts shown. Yeah, I think that's a good place to leave it. Please do leave a like on the video for us. We are 423 subscribers away from the big 10K. And we've got some things in the works. So I know a lot of you guys already subscribed. But if you aren't and you are a new viewer, it takes 2 seconds. It's in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. Check it out. Also, on the tab, in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen as well, there is our socials. Check us out on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, etc. And drop us a follow on there. And say hello. Drop us a message as well. Yeah, me and Shreyas will see you guys in the next one. Take it easy.